Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. The weather's turned really cold just lately and started to make me think about snowmen, so I thought we would paint one today. I've done a preliminary sketch, and if you want to copy this sketch, if you go to my website dianeantonestudio.com, you'll be able to download it and print it out free of charge. The first thing to do when doing this painting is to mask out the moon, which you can see here. I've already done it because it has to dry thoroughly before you can start painting. And I used Schminker masking fluid here, which works fine. I always use an old brush, something that doesn't matter if it gets a bit spoilt, because masking fluid is famous for wrecking brushes. But if you wash it out immediately after you've finished, you can usually get most of the rubber out of the bristles, so all is not necessarily lost. Anyhow, I did that earlier, and now we're going to start with, because I always paint wet in wet, almost always anyway, first thing to do is to make the background somewhat damp. So a reasonably large brush, this is a number 14, it's a synthetic bristle, it's a nylon, it's a Drawwell is the make. And then we go into the painting and just moisten the whole area of the sky. There's my friendly owl sitting on the snowman's twiggy arm. And don't worry if you go over the lines a little bit, doesn't really matter. This is a painting that needs to be done in several stages, really. You have to let it dry in between. So there we are, that's the background moistened. And you can let that sit for a minute or two just to soak in. That way it works better when you put the next moist layer on, which of course will be the paint. Okay, so in order to indicate the light of the moon, we're going to drop in a little bit of Naples Yellow, which is a semi-opaque colour, and it blends really well with ultramarine blue, which is what I'm using now. Let the paint do the work. Put it on the paper and let it move. You can go over the branch that's going to be his arm because it'll be darker, so it'll show still on the blue. Because the paper's slightly wet, the paint will go up to but not into the snowman. Always flows better where the paper's already wet. If I was doing a really a proper piece of art, then I would have taped my paper down. I didn't get this effect here where you can see it's cockling a bit. For a painting like this, that doesn't really matter, but if this was going to be a proper piece of art, then it would matter. So in another video at some point we'll talk about how to prepare your paper properly. Now there's too much paint here around the moon, so I'm just lifting it out a little to leave just a hint of light, a glow. And then I'm going to come in again with a darker blue, which I'm going to make using violet and cobalt. And I'm going to put that here. To draw attention to the important part of the painting, which is, of course, the snowman and his little friend, the owl. Just keep that soft. And over this side, perhaps drop in a little bit more of the darker blue. Remembering not to work it too hard, just let it flow. Okay, and at this stage, it's time for a cup of tea. We'll let it dry and come back, probably tomorrow, and carry on. It's getting dark out now. Okay, have a lovely evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, here we are again. It's another day and we're going to carry on with our snowman. I think what I'm going to do next is put in his eyes so that he starts to have a character. So I'm just using some black, obviously, because his eyes are little pieces of coal. And while I'm at it, I might put in the eyes of the owl as well. Since I've got black in my hand, on my brush, I mean, I could also perhaps indicate the twiggies that are his arms and hands. Okay. I think the next thing to do is going to be the gift and the candy cane down the bottom. These things are kind of simple, so they might as well be out the way first. So just quickly indicate the ribbon using, this is alizarin crimson, and add a touch of cadmium red. And what colour shall we do the box? Shall we make it green? the snowman's hat. And he has a carrot for a nose, so orange there. Little bits of coal for his mouth. And shall we give him a red scarf? Little bit of shadow indicate his form. And the owl. Keeping it all very simple. And down here we have a little bit of evergreen. Maybe we'll put a nice green hat band. Now I'm going to indicate some shadows on the snow, very lightly. Just like that. And we could just, if we just wet this area here a little bit. We could just drop in some dark green to indicate some trees in the distance, like so. Let that dry and do its thing. and we'll come back later when it's dry and finish it off. Now it's dry and I've taken off the mask around the moon, added a couple more bits of greenery down here, and I think I'm going to put some green stripes into the scarf. Somehow that looks a little bit cozier, rather than just red and white, which makes me think of Manchester United. I don't know why. So there we are, green and red scarf. A little bit of shadow around his eyes and maybe around his mouth. Thing is, with painting white, you don't paint white, you paint the shadows on the white. And here's the completed picture. At this point you might decide that you want to put some snow on there to make it more seasonal. That's completely optional, of course. You don't have to make it snow, it could be a nice day. Except it's night time. Of course it could be a nice night. However, if you want to go snowy, get some white gouache and mix it up to a thickish paste. Toothbrush, old one. Don't use it for your teeth after you've done this, and then just have fun and spatter. And there we are, you see. Now it's snowing. I think this is a better way of producing the effect of snow than salt, which some people like to use, but personally I find that's a bit unpredictable, more unpredictable. And then if you want to go in with some bigger flakes, you can either make your toothbrush wetter or else take a brush, load it with paint and just tap it like that. And we have quite a snowstorm. And if you like it, you can add a few brush strokes. And I'll tell you what would be good too, a little bit more white paint. Winsor and Newton Designers Gouache. And I don't know, just give it some texture, maybe make the snowman a bit whiter in places. There we are. I think that'll do. Still got some white on my paintbrush, not to waste it. Ah, that's the best way to spoil a painting. I don't want to waste the paint. So we stop. We're done.